I will say, shame on that judge for not understanding how to pronounce Xana Kernodle's name by this point in the proceedings. It was disrespectful. And I can understand once you're nervous, the cameras are on, but it happened repeatedly. And I'm sure it had like the shock effect on anyone who knew Xana, including her family. Like, I'm sorry, but study the names before you walk in there as the judge. I thought it was disrespectful. And Howard, I also thought it was disrespectful for him to open it up by chastising Steve Gonsalves, which is really what he did with his whole, someone is telling people to call the court. That was Steve. In a desperate father whose daughter is murdered said, please, maybe if we call the courthouse, we can stop this from getting approved. And instead of being like, gentle about it, please don't call the court because it's not going to change anything. With respect to the families, we understand this is agonizing. Instead, he was angry. And his ire was toward the dad of one of the 4 victims.
I mean, Steve is a tragic figure in this whole case. Early on, he made a statement. I was there, and he said, you send your daughter off to college, and she comes back to you in a box. I mean, that's heartbreaking. And after living through something like that, everything that he does, however seems out of bounds, out of normal rules of conduct, of decorum, well, you have to cut him some slack. You have to understand it. He's become, to my mind, and I wrote about him a great deal in my book and elsewhere, an almost Captain Ahab figure who's, refuses to surrender, who's going on wherever it is, who's doing his own investigation, who's trying to connect the dots any way he can. If he thinks I did something wrong, he's on my case. I understand that. If he thinks the police did something wrong, he's on their case too. I mean, in many ways, he's a hero, and yet he's also will be a victim forever of this case. All those families, that's the real tragedy, there are no survivors, they're only victims.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I do want to give
outside
credit
the courthouse.
Credit is due,
Yeah, go ahead, Matt.
I'm sorry. Yeah, one thing to keep in mind here that I do want to say that I think the judge did do right is by continuing the sentencing hearing itself, under Idaho law, the court does not have to give the victims an opportunity to address the court. Okay, so that's one thing that the judge didn't have to do, that he did do, that is incredibly important for victims' families, including hopefully on that day, Mr. Gonsalves himself, because he'll be able to express that with Brian Kohberger sitting in the room. And they have a Crime Victims Bill of Rights that passed in 1994, but it is discretionary with the court. So I do want to say kudos to the court for allowing the family to do that. I think that was very appropriate. And what he could have done, Megyn, is he could have imposed the sentence today. And so by putting that off, I do want to give him credit on that one point, because that is one of those things, even though everybody is going to know what the sentence is going to be. And I can tell you right now, he's not reducing any of these counts. But when family members address the court, I've sat through a lot of those. They are incredibly impactful, and it does give them something. At least they get their moment in court where the defendant has to listen to them to talk about their grief. So,
we heard that the judge say it was going to be July
point.
22nd. It's been moved to July 23rd. So it's now going to be July 23rd. I will say this, Steve Gonsalves was out there begging for the court to listen to him because he was very upset about how this went down. And he was very upset that he did learn about the fact that there was a plea deal via email. We talked about this a bit yesterday, Matt, via email. And I just want you to remember that, the audience to remember that as we look back at this prosecutor. I'm just going to say it. I think working up tears in that one moment. I think it was an affectation meant by him to show I'm connected to this case. It's been very hard on me. I'm a feeling person. Don't believe that I disregarded anybody's wishes in striking this deal, because I really think we wouldn't be seeing a notification by email to the families that the guy's not going to be put to death and there's not going to be a trial if he deeply cared, as he clearly wants us to believe in this soundbite.
It might be tears of relief that he can move on, that he's finally done.
If that is true, Megyn.
Wait, watch. Watch. Stand by.
Sorry. So, Your Honor, at the end, the state submits that the evidence that I've given just a quick overview of, and that to present in court would consume weeks, which the state is prepared to do and has been prepared to do, would show that as the defendant has just admitted and pleaded guilty on November 13th, 2022, Mr. Kohberger entered the residence at 1122 King Road in Moscow, Idaho. He did that with the intent to kill. We will not represent that he intended to commit all of the murders that he did that night, but we know that that is what resulted, and that he then killed intentionally, willfully, deliberately, with premeditation, and with malice forethought. Manny Mogan, Kaylee Gonzalez, Ethan Chapin, and Santa Colonel. Thank you.
Thank you.
Go ahead, Howard.
Well, he's a very good performer. And this was his opportunity to have his final say and then move on. I think it was a very contrived moment. I think he was milking it for all it was worth. And, he can also be very tough. During one of the motions filings, he got the defense witness to cry on the stand when he was coming at him so hard. Bill Thompson can be a very tough guy, and I think this was a moment to show that even though he's making this deal, he cares. I think that's why he went over
it seemed orchestrated evidence. To me. I have to be honest. It seemed like the timing of it, how it came just right at the last moment while he was closing. He's the Latah County prosecutor, Bill Thompson. I don't know, Matt. Do you want to say something on it?
Well, look, when men cry in court, it is among professional prosecutors. That's a trope. We make fun of people for doing that. It's not professional. It comes off, whether it's legitimate or not. In this case, it comes off as totally performative, and it also, if that's right, if Steve Gonzalez, and I think he's been accurate. Obviously, he's very angry, but if that's true that they were notified in an email. You don't get to cry in court when you talk about their daughter. I'm sorry. Yep. I mean, I got to call them out on that. It's unprofessional. There are prosecutors all across the country right now who just watched that, who rolled their eyes. I guarantee it, and defense lawyers too. That was the case is certainly tragic. It's not even tragic. Tragedy is the wrong word. Murder is not. Tragedy is what happens when somebody gets hit by a bus. Okay, yep. Murder is different. Murder is intended. So. It is as awful as it is. You can cry behind closed doors as you're going through the evidence, but to cry publicly when Steve Gonzalez refuses to go inside, I think people should have a problem with that. And this guy, look, he said he was going for death. Nothing appears to have changed, and it looks like they blinked. He had all the evidence in the world. But I do want to say this. It is horrible for the families when death penalty cases come back. I had to try cases that came back. My Rodney Alcala case, I did the third trial of that. It's brutal on the families, but that's why you put on a good case and you keep it streamlined and you do it right and you remove those issues on appeal. And that's
I can't help but think of that, in politics, the Democrats have been trying out that taco thing. This is before Trump dropped bombs on Iran. Trump always chickens out. Thompson always chickens out. He's a taco, this guy Thompson. Since President Trump was sworn in, his administration has made enormous progress at a breakneck pace. But don't forget, while they are moving mountains for the good of the nation, you've got your personal savings to worry about. And one of the best ways to look after your savings is through diversification, particularly with gold, like from Birch Gold Group. In the past 12 months, the value of gold has increased by 40%. And Birch was an advertiser on this show 12 months ago. If you had purchased then, you'd be 40% richer today. Now's the time. Central banks continue to bolster demand for gold by burying in record quantities. Global instability and tension is high, and Birch Gold makes owning physical gold so easy. Easily convert an existing IRA or 401k into a tax-sheltered IRA in physical gold, or buy some to store in your home safe. Just text MK to the number 989898, and Birch Gold is going to send you a free info kit on gold. Look into it, see if it's right for you. There's no obligation, just useful information to help you make a decision. With an A+ rating, with a Better Business Bureau, and tens of thousands of happy customers, take control of your savings today. Text MK to 989898. Thanks so much for watching. If you like what you just saw, hit the subscribe button for more clips and full episodes.